Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 36. Dustless. A person mind is dustless. What does it mean? Here dust is a metaphorical term and represents greed, lobha, dosa, hatred, and delusion, moha. These are the three roots of unwholesome phenomena. A dustless mind is free from greed, hatred and delusion, which is an arahant's mind. A mind freeing from defilement is a dustless mind. There are 10 defilements: greed, hatred, delusion, conceit, wrong views, doubt, sloth, restlessness, shamelessness and fearlessness of wrongdoing. The defilements, kilesa, are so called because they afflict and torment the mind. They defile beings by dragging them down to a mentally soiled and deprived condition. There was an interesting story connected with dust. This was the story of Kalapanthaka. Then, Kalapanthaka. He was a grandson of a banker of Rajagaha. The banker had 2 grandsons, Mahapanthaka and Kalapanthaka. Mahapanthaka joined the Buddhist order and over time became an arahant. Kalapanthaka also followed him and became a monk. He was born as a dullard because of his past karma. At the time of the Buddha Kassapa, he had made fun of a very dull monk. This karma took fruit in this life. Even the slightest fault could become a big result. Therefore, we have to be careful about all our actions. Even he could not memorize a verse in 4 months. His brother Mahapanthaka was very disappointed with him and asked him to leave the order. About that time, Dr. Javaka came to the monastery and invited the Buddha and Sangha to his house for a meal. Mahapanthaka was in charge of assigning the monks to meal invitations. So, he left out Kalapanthaka from the list. When Kalapanthaka knew this and decided to leave the order, the Buddha knew all about it and asked him not to leave. He then gave him a clean white piece of cloth for the practice. The Buddha instructed him by sitting in front of the perfumed chamber, the Buddha's dwelling place, and rubbed the piece of cloth all the time and repeated the word, Rajoharana, which mean taking on impurity. And then with the monks, the Buddha went to Javaka's place. Meanwhile, Kalapanthaka went on rubbing the piece of cloth all the times and repeating the word, Rajoharana, like chanting a mantra all the time. This led to samadhi and after some time the piece of cloth became soiled. Kalapanthaka came to realize the impermanent nature of all conditioned phenomena. From the house of Dr. Javaka, the Buddha knew about the progress of Kalapanthaka's practice. He sent forth his radiance and appeared in front of him. The Buddha gave him the following instruction. It was not only the piece of cloth was made dirty by the dust, but within oneself also there existed the dust of passion, ill will and ignorance, raga, dosa, and moha. One could achieve the goal and attained arahantship only by removing these dusts of the mind. Kalapanthaka got the message and kept on contemplation and in a short time attained arahantship with analytical knowledge. He had ceased to be a dullard and became a dustless person. There was a more important sutta on taintless or dustless. This was in the Majjhima Nikaya called Discourse on Taintlessness, Anangana Sutta, MN. 5. Then, Sariputta gave it to the monks. This sutta was very important for all to know it and look after the mind not to be tainted or soiled. Then, Sariputta explained 4 types of individual. These are: 1. A person has mental taints in his mind and does not know about it. 2. A person has mental taints in his mind and knows about it. 3. A person has no mental taint in his mind and does not know about it. 4. A person has no mental taint in his mind and knows about it. So, what are the differences and what happened to them? Then, Sariputta gave the following answers. The first and third persons are inferior because they do not know their situations, i.e., ignorant. The second and fourth persons are superior because they know their situations, i.e., wise. 1. The first person who has mental taints, and he does not know it. So, he will not generate desire, nor make an effort and not develop energy to get rid of that taint. He will pass away with a mind with attachment, anger, bewilderment, taints and impurities. Then, Sariputta gave the example of a bronze bowl. A bronze bowl was brought from a shop and covered with dust and dirt. The owner did not clean it, unused and discarded in the dust. And then, sometimes later it became more stained and tarnished with dirt. 2. The second person who has mental taints, and he knows it. So, he will generate desire, make an effort and develop energy to get rid of that taint. He will pass away with a mind without attachment, anger, bewilderment, taints and impurities. It was like a bowl covered with dirt and dust. The owner cleaned it, used it and not discarded in the dust. It became cleaner and stainless. 3. The third person who has no mental taints, and he does not know it. So, he will become attentive to what is pleasant, and his mind will be corrupted by attachment. He will pass away with a mind of taints and impurities. It was like a bowl quite clean and unstained. But it might be left unused and uncleaned by the owner and discarded in the dust. And then, sometimes later it became more stained and tarnished with dirt. 4. The fourth person who has no mental taints, and he knows it. So, he will not be attentive to what is pleasant, and his mind will not be corrupted by attachment. He will pass away with a mind without taints and impurities. It was like a bowl quite cleaned and unstained. It might be put into using and cleaned by the owner and not discarded in the dust. It became cleaner and stainless. Therefore, the first and third persons are living their lives with taint and dying with taints. So, they are inferior persons. The second and fourth persons are living their lives without taints and dying without taints. So, both of them are superior persons. What about human beings today? We can contemplate the current world situation with the above standards. Majority of human beings are like the first persons. They have taints and impurities, but they do not know about it. With the existence of many different types of media in today's world, the minds are more and more tainted and soiled. Most people are using cell phones or smartphones all the time wherever they are or whatever they are doing. They are more and more like drug addicts. Very few media are wholesome because it does not make money. Business people also know this point. Out of over-greedy, they use many different kinds of bait to hook or trap foolish people. Some Buddhist monks and lay people may be like the second person. They know the Buddha's teaching and follow it. The innocent children are like the third person. If we observe today world education systems from family life, school life and social life, even government level, we do not know and see much about moral education or ethics. Therefore, family, school and society do not know what is wholesome or unwholesome, and they learn everything from the media. With a lot of tainted education, people will have a tainted life. In today's world with many social and environmental problems, we know this point very clear. Buddhist noble beings are like the fourth person, i.e., from the stream winner to the Arahant. For the Anagaman and Arahant, they do not have any interest in worldly matters. They are immune to it. Nobody is born as a dustless person. It will come out by studying and practicing the Buddha's Dharma. To achieve the highest blessing and protection, we should not miss this chance. If not, samsara will never end for us. Protection with blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 37. Secure. Before understanding secure or security, we need to understand what insecure or insecurity is. The Pali word kima is for secure. Something secure is safety or protected from dangers and harms. So, insecure is not safe or not protected from dangers and harms. Man has body and mind. For ordinary people, the body affects the mind and vice versa. If we have the physical body, it will never be secure. At least it will never escape from aging, sickness and death. Even the Buddha and other noble beings could not escape from the dangers and harms done by others. Mara, the evil one, Devadatta, Sinkamanavaka, etc., harmed the Buddha by physically and verbally. Mahamoggallana was killed by the bandits. Mahakala Upasaka, a stream winner, Sotapanna, was beaten to death by people who accused him as the thief. In one of his past lives, out of lust for a woman and with false accusation, he killed the woman's husband and took her by force. This evil action following him up to this life, and he had to pay for his kamic debt. How many times in samsara others killed him in this way? Nobody knows. Why all living beings have no security in the rounds of existence? There are many reasons for it. The most important reason is loka dharmas are following behind everyone. Every being wants happiness and security. But everyone in the rounds of existence had done all sorts of kamas. Most beings cannot control their minds because they do not have the chances to meet the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. They do not know the Dharma and without any practice. Majority of people are chasing the worldly Dharma, Loka Dharma, and at the same time, these Dharmas are following or chasing them. It was like they and the Loka Dharmas were playing hide-and-seek games. Noble beings are not playing hide-and-seek game with the worldly Dharma. Only they still have the physical bodies that cannot escape from them. So, here the 37th protection with a blessing on security is not the physical body, but the mind. Especially it is the mind of an Arahant. It is like the other blessings. 34th is unshaken, 35th is sorrowless and 36th is dustless are representing the Arahant's mind. Even though the physical body of the Arahant is still not secure, his mind is secure. Only by passing away into Nibbana element that Buddha and Arahants were secure. Therefore, the khandhas are the source of insecurity. So, every being with the khandhas will never be in the security. There are 4 bonds, yoga, which bind the beings that making them unsafe. These are the causes of suffering for the khandhas. These are the bond of sensual desire, Kama-yoga, the bond of attachment to existence, Bhava-yoga, the bond of wrong views, Ditthya-yoga, and the bond of ignorance, Avijja-yoga. If combined, become greed, lobha, wrong views, ditthi, and delusion, moha, the three unwholesome mental states. The same defilements, i.e., bonds, are also called taints, asava, and floods, ogha. The four taints: the taint of sensual desire, kamasava; the taint of attachment to existence, bhavasava; the taint of wrong views, ditthasava; and the taint of ignorance, avijjasava. The four floods: the floods of sensual desire, attachment to existence, wrong views and ignorance, kamoga, bhavoga, ditthoha and avijjoha. These are called floods, ogha, because they sweep beings away into the ocean of existence. They are also called bonds, yoga, because they yoke beings to suffering and do not allow him to escape. Therefore, a mind that, when touched by the ways of the world, loka dharma, is unshaken, sorrowless, dustless and secure is the arahant's mind. All these mind qualities only come by practice. Even ordinary Buddhists who know the Dharma and practice can develop it into certain levels. So that we can overcome the loka dharma or reduce their powers which affect our minds. The Buddha ended his discourse on blessing of protection with the following verse: everywhere undefeated. When acting in this way, people go everywhere in well-being. This is their highest protection with a blessing. This is the power of the pure and free mind. There is no protection with blessing higher than that. The Buddha delivered the discourse on blessings and gave the right answers from the mundane levels to supramundane level to the deities was quite amazing. Except for a Buddha, nobody could give this kind of teaching. So, truly, he was the teacher of gods and human beings. I am sure everyone wants blessing and protection. Everyone has to start with oneself first. The Buddha's teaching was centered on man or mind, not on God or gods. If it's centered on God or gods, human beings cannot solve any problem and correct the ills of the world. Therefore, all the teachings are practical and applicable. Only we study it and follow it with an unwavering mind. Without developing within oneself, we cannot protect ourselves and others. Each person has to do his duty rightly and skillfully so that problems will be solved. With the right and wise educations only, we can solve the human problems from the family, society and government levels to international level. We can help and save human beings only with wholesome education. Not by inventing new things based on greed, hatred and delusion. Unwholesome dharmas never bring happiness and peace to human beings. These are the outcomes of the today world situation.